How's it going, everyone? How's it going? This is Deonte Burden, and welcome to Changing Live, hosted by me. Hope everybody's doing well. Just this week in particular, we got a real good show planned for you and everything. Before we start off, I want to kind of bring people up to speed with what's going on with me. Like I told you before the first show, we're looking to expand my tax practice, so we haven't got everything closed out with that yet, but everything's coming along pretty fine with that. Another thing, I know I put a video out about a couple weeks ago. We in the holiday season right now, so I know everybody's getting ready for Christmas, but one thing I've been trying to push to everyone in that video, don't go crazy with the holidays. Telling everybody, Christmas, Thanksgiving to Christmas is going to come and go, and we have a life after that, and I don't want anybody having any kind of hemorrhages, trying to make Christmas happen. In particular, a lot of times we put so much emphasis on doing things for the holiday season, and we forget, holidays in essence is about families enjoying themselves and being around each other, having a good time, and we get all shell-shocked in what we can't do as opposed to what we have. And, whatever was that Luther? That best thing in life for free?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. I think we get tied up in the fact of getting things. We get so tied up into getting what people want.
Absolutely.
That a lot of times we need to sit back and realize that everybody already has what they need. We got good health. We got good family. Everything's good. We're not locked up, dead or in jail. So what else could we actually want? But we get, and I think I blame commercials. I blame the Christmas commercials myself, Deonte. What you think?
I put some blame on Christmas commercials. Some I blame on people, your family and friends with that too. Hey, before we go any further, also I want to introduce DJ Lab. That's the producer of the show and owner of Westside Misfits Radio or Misfits Media Group.
Yes.
Also on a Westside Misfits Radio show streaming every Sunday at
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Lal will be doing a show with me tonight because with our topic, we're going to do a lot of back and forth communicating because have a real good subject that I think both of us can shed a lot of light on everybody with tonight with that. But even back with the holidays, so people, please keep in mind we're a couple weeks out for Christmas, and I put a video out on Black Friday about people not with the shopping and everything. I know the next couple weeks we're gonna have a lot of shows in terms of what people needing certain things. Just keep in mind that day is gonna come and go. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's gonna come and go. Enjoy your family, enjoy what you have around you, and let's not get too engulfed with that, because I can imagine what's gonna be on Frank and Wanda and everything. And one thing I'm gonna say about that Lab, I switch off of that is that I think too much when I listen to that every year, and it's heart touching to hear people get certain things.
Right.
But then you think about what you're gonna do December 26th.
Yeah.
And hell, you sitting there like, now hell, I ain't even got no electricity to keep all these damn computers we got on, and everything. So
yeah.
Just kind of keep that in mind and stuff. That's that day is gonna come and go, and just remember the true essence of that and everything. We just buried off former President Bush. That was I looked at some of the program. President Trump came in. I think that was very awkward. We had to sit beside Barack, and again, you had to give that, I guess that customary handshake.
Right.
Say you did and everything. You like, I don't, you just tell nobody there wanted to be sitting there
next to him.
Yeah. That was one of them things. But again, we got a good show for you today, and I've done a couple of promo videos about the show. Today, everyone, we're going to be asking all you parents out there, and before I get started, parents or people here in general, make sure you can go to the Facebook, or you can go on Instagram. We're streaming live. You can put your comments and everything in there. And we're doing a live chat, so if you got any questions or anything, feel free to chime in. We'll try to catch them and answer as many as we can. Also, if you get a chance, like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Changing Lives. We like all the comments you can make to the videos, any kind of feedback you can give us to the shows. And back to what I was saying, what I show tonight, the question we're going to be asking as parents, do you want your kids to fear you or respect you? And I was putting this out early in the week, and I think the customary answer for everybody to give was, I want them to respect me. I want to respect me. But I hear parents all the time calling the kids, MFs and SOBs and all kind of stuff. And I don't know how much damn respect you're going to get.
With that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then they start saying it back, and you're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of throws off the respect part. What I was thinking about, sometimes when you see a family member, old friend, and you ask them, hey, ask somebody, child or son, hey, you talk to Ricky or, talk to Joe or anything, and they give you that response, well, he don't say nothing to us. Okay, what you mean he don't say nothing to you? And he don't, he don't speak to us, ever since he went in the army or he moved or went to school, he don't check on us or nothing. I think he too good or whatever. And in your mind, you try to rattle about it, what could cause somebody to not want to keep in contact with their family members or anything. And then sometimes you think back, how that family dynamic was. Mm-hmm. And just going to the fear part and, just having that strong authoritative presence. And I kind of put in terms of with parents, you can have your kid very afraid of you.
Right.
And they can stay that way. But you have to understand that a person is going to be afraid of you as long as they have to be afraid of you. We see that with bullies, they're scared. A person might be scared, dealing with somebody at school that's a bully. And soon they get a chance to leave the school or get out of school, they got to deal with them more, they okay. Your child the same way. If they're scared as hell out of you and they have to do what you say do, they're going to do it as long as they have to. But once the opportunity comes, they can get out from under your roof or get away from you, they're going to maximize it. More than likely, they're not going to touch base with you anymore. And you sometimes wonder, well, they don't care or they don't, want to speak with us. It's not, they don't have to deal with you. So that's, one of the things you have to kind of take in consideration with, raising your kids out of fear. And I don't know too much about the white community, but I know it's very prevalent in the black community. Raise your kids out of fear. Make sure they're scared of you and everything. Tremble.
I'm going to give you a good example of that, Deonte.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 48.
Uh-huh.
When I was raised, my mom was a real bad alcoholic.
Gotcha.
I've told people this on other shows, so it ain't no secret.
Okay.
My mom was a real bad alcoholic. And it's just recently become, in the last few years, that I've really started back talking to her, because as I got older, got married, had kids,
mm-hmm.
I didn't have to deal with her. Gotcha. I had my own life. I had my own kids. I had my own thing going on. So I really didn't talk to her on a regular basis because of the fact that I was doing my own thing. I didn't have to talk to her. It was different when I was a child. Even when I was a child, I was raised by my grandparents. So the separation from her and them, they kind of kept a good wall between us. So in that instance, I don't think I was afraid of her. I was more disappointed in her.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's a little different there, but it goes back to the fact of me not dealing with her. I didn't talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't call to check on her. I didn't do any of that. And that was more to your point of, because I didn't have to deal with her anymore. You get what I'm saying? If somebody being scared don't have to deal with you, I didn't have to deal with her anymore. But recently here, as she's gotten older and I've gotten older, I've kind of let that wall down a little bit and start talking to her. But at first, I wouldn't talk to her.
Yeah. As a parent, we can't rewind life and go back into things that we did wrong. And you hope, like you just said, you can have some kind of reconciliation point where everybody can come back together and everything. Me and my mother very close, but God knows when I was young, we used to bump heads all the time. I think the best thing to happen in our relationship is that I went in the Army.
Right.
Because I know me and my mom used to go at it and everything. Like exactly. Nothing physical, but my mother had some strong ways that I didn't agree with, and it probably wasn't best for a young man to be hearing a female talk to him like that. And once I got on my own, it just took me a whole lot of growing to kind of get to a point where I could reconcile with some of the feelings and some of the things that happened in the past. That's why I kind of attribute, parents want to have rule with that iron fist, and this is it. Don't question it. Don't do this, that, and that. Now again, you have to be in charge as a parent, but always keep in mind that this person has a brain. You think back, probably a lot of these views, probably that kind of parenting, maybe originated in slavery. Maybe it came from Africa. I don't know. But you look in terms of slavery, everything was just ruled with that stern. This is it. Get up, move. Breed, pick cotton, do what I say do, and generationally, that sticks with you, and everything. And beatings are the only answer. Your child make a mistake, you beat them. Your child asks a question, you beat them. Your child didn't do something that you liked all the way, you beat them. And that goes generation after generation, just being a standard. And a lot of times nobody just stop like, what the hell, do I need to whoop them? Or do I need to, or whatever? Maybe they didn't know. Everybody ain't hard-headed. You may have genuinely forgot to do it. And the whole human aspect of it is taken out of it. And I think too often when going down that road, that's what happens. And I try to when parents talk about with their kids, because I tell everybody I've been coaching youth football for 17 years, and parents, my kids, he don't listen, and he ain't disciplined. And I don't know how damn disciplined he's supposed to be at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Shit. But I don't know. But and that's why I say sometimes, you may have an unrealistic image of your child. And even with that said, hell, I don't know if you the most damn disciplined. Sometimes people be talking about that. But I've noticed that's very, very prevalent, in the community with doing that and everything. Okay. That's a good point. That kind of goes into probably the next aspect when we start talking about respect with doing that, having your child respect you. There is a very thin line all parents have to walk in terms of being that authority and being your kid friend. And I think a lot of us struggle with that, especially depending on how your upbringing was. Sometimes if you just say you was raised in that aspect where you didn't have a parent there, or the parent may have been overbearing towards you, you may say, well, look, I didn't have this mind, so I'm going to be my child friend. I just want to compensate for that and everything like that.
Right.
And you don't know that's going to be detrimental or not. And we, a lot of time as involved parents, that's a thin line that we had to tiptoe a lot, and you can make it a great thing. You can also make it a bad experience depending on, the result, and that result being the child. Because a lot of times we forget that a child ain't a dog, a child ain't a robot. A child's a human being that got a brain. And no matter what we do, we can just tell them, get up, do this, that, and that. They're going to do what they want to do. And I don't care if you beat the hell out of somebody, got them terrified of you. That does not mean they're not going to do what they want to do. So, and I think people forget that. So, we're going into that respect aspect of everything. We look at people go into it and they say, well, cool. Like Jeff had mentioned, I want my child to respect me, and they respect me. We communicate and everything. And before I go any further, I do want to say this. I don't know if there's a right and a wrong way to do it. Okay, I want to say that
right.
First and foremost. And the reason why I want to say that is because I always look at the end game. If you raise a productive citizen, that's what you want to have happen. We don't want people to have scars or anything like that. But hey, I can't sit here and say, don't whooping my granddaddy gave me that I still think about sometime when a good thing,
Let me actually going back to what you just said. You don't know if it's a right or the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think most times that we try to raise our children the opposite way of the way we were raised? That's how we get caught up. We don't, as children, we don't see the value in what our parents or grandparents is teaching us, because for most part it is constricting us from doing something that we may want to do. So we think it's all bad because it's not what we want to do. It's what they are making us do. So a lot of times when we grow up, we always say, I'm going to say 95% of the people who have children say, I'm going to raise my child differently than the way my parents raised me. And then we get caught up in it. But then you start thinking about it. A lot of times, especially our ages, we had grandma, granddaddy, mom and daddy. A lot of times they was of age. They was 60, and grandmas was really grandmas. They wasn't 34. They was 64, 74. So their wisdom was a little bit different, and they were raised different. But as we got older, we started saying to ourselves, well, we're not going to raise our kids like that. I'm going to raise my child different. My child going to be able to do whatever or go or not going to be able to. I'm going to give you a good example. Church. When the kids in the church, how strict they are, and once they get out and get free, they become wild and carefree because they've been so constricted from being in the church that they don't know. They didn't got a taste of this freedom. They don't know what to do.
Inmates run the asylum. There you go. That's a great point. The thing about it is, I think that has a lot to do with the maturity of the parent, because everyone's different. But I'm just saying, me personally, I don't appreciate my grandparents. I had very young parents, so really for the most part, my grandparents raised me. But I didn't really appreciate my grandparents, especially my grandfather, as much until my son started getting older. And subconsciously, we take a lot of that stuff for granted. And we think, like you said, some of that stuff is just heinous and just overbearing and stuff like that. Yeah. But, again, that's just experience. They know.
Right.
You think that's the first time you encounter it. And when we go into having our own children, we want to have those ways and stuff like that. My grandfather was very old school. He wasn't a big communicator. He didn't tell me he loved me.
Mine wasn't either.
And what I always stick in my mind, I know my granddad loved me because he was always there. One is deceased, the one that raised me, and my father's father. Both of them was always there in my life. And one's still alive, and he's all, I'm very close to him also. But the one that raised me would always, one moment that stuck in my mind was he never told me he loved me. Never told me he loved me. But everything I had, all my football games, anything I had, when I went to go in the Army and the recruiter came and picked me up, and you talking about never got a hug, never got to love you, and when I was walking out the door, he hugged me and bear hugged me and squeezed me. And I'm like, what the hell? Who the hell is this?
Right.
And he just wouldn't let go and everything. And he stood me in front of him and just looked at me and hugged me again. And I was looking at my grandma like, what's wrong with him, And it's like all that emotion of 17, 18 years came out, and I had never seen that.
Right.
But with that said, and that stuck with me, and it still sticks with me, I didn't want my children to feel, that was his way of showing me love. That was his love coming out. He just couldn't contain it. I didn't want my kids to feel that at 18.
Okay.
I wanted them to always know, Daddy love you and everything. So that really, really stuck in my mind, because that man that was so hard, come on, boy, this, that, and that.
Yeah.
You get mad, Granddad, do you love me? Damn it, I fed you. That was his. Your ass eat, then you got somewhere to sleep. Those reactions when I try to seek love. Your ass got somewhere to sleep.
That.
Yeah. Okay, they didn't. They didn't have therapists and all that stuff running around, because I was probably laying on the couch. Because you had to have a lot of thick skin growing up in my house. It was a lot of love, but you had to have a lot of thick skin.
Yeah, a lot of thick skin. My grandfather was the same way. He was 6'4", 300 pounds, and from Mississippi. He had been in the Army, so he just wasn't. He wasn't a mushy person, but it was times you could just look. The only time he was mushy, and this is the weirdest thing, Deonte, is when he would sit down in the living room and watch soap operas. And he'd be crying watching them shows. I'd be like, buddy, what you crying for? You know, he'd be into it, but as soon as them shows over, he right back stern.
Yeah.
He like real stern. Like he was the type because he didn't want you going to the refrigerator.
Yeah.
He put a mirror and turned it a certain way so he could see if your ass going in the refrigerator from his damn recliner chair.
Let me ask you something. And you better not make a comment about how he acted during them soap operas either.
That's exactly right.
You know,
you better not say one word.
I know that's how men from that era was. They were extremely hard. They loved their families. They took care of them, but they just as far as showing one thing. But one thing about it, they did take care of their families, and everything. But that was just one of those ways, you know, in terms of, you know, even with the respect aspect, you know. I try to do a lot more teaching because, you know, I'm more aligned with the respect thing than fear. Teaching my kids, hey, you know, because going back to before, when people make mistakes, especially children, sometimes you don't know. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always try to get my kids to know what's going on, this is what's happening. Now, once you do something against that, and I know you know, that's when we're going to have problems. But I always try to make sure we're communicating and, you know right from wrong, you know why we did this and everything. Going back to one point Jeff said in terms of even communicating with your kids, you know, you got things that happen with your children. And I just know it will hurt me. And I hear from a lot of parents is that the kids had a problem. You know, your daughter got pregnant. Your son done caught a STD. He might got a girl pregnant or something happened. And you hear about it damn near when they can't control it. And what hurts every parent is, why ain't come to me first?
Right.
And that's when you get the truth. You know, well, I know you're going to cuss me out. I know you're going to do this, that, and that.
Exactly.
And that stabs your knife. And this goes back to what we're talking about. You know, if you made that bridge where your child can speak to you, because, you know, we all go through that in adolescence. You got that one or two dumbass friends. They're going to give you all these home remedies, you know. If you're pregnant, tell the girl to, you know, bathe with this or shake that or something like that. You think you got something, man, put some Blue Star ointment on it, shave it off. And,
drink this, it'll tell you.
Oh, Lord, boy. I got some stories. You know, some of my buddies, they was MDs. We was in high school. They'll tell you everything, how to fix anything. You know, so, and that's any parent's nightmare. That you have your child, your baby got something they going through, and they so afraid of your reaction. And we ain't talking about disappointment. Just feel that you're going to ostracize them, damn them, because of your reaction. You know, because even when a kid or a person, period, you know you done did something to disappoint somebody close to you, you know they're going to be disappointed. But you want to kind of confide in them so y'all can get some kind of plan on how y'all going to move forward. But so the disappointment thing, that makes people reluctant to do stuff. But that fear thing of just knowing I can't come to you, that's what halt folks, and I don't think a lot of parents think about that until you have some instances like that come up and everything. And I think that had a lot to do how you and your kids' relationship is. Going back again, I don't know if there is a right or wrong way. Because again, you know, I would tell people, you know,
every child is different. Every parent is different.
You go down one whole street, all 30 houses on there, everybody got a different philosophy. Some may have common ways of doing things, some may be totally different. And again, at the end of the day, it's finish the race. So if you jump over the finish line, walk sideways, go backwards, crawl, dive, as long as you finish the race, you finish the race. So that's why I'm not so hell-bent on just the way you're supposed to do it. You know, what way works, and everything and stuff. But we have to be realistic that some ways are more detrimental, some ways cause trauma, some ways cause, you know, certain things to happen in the future. Well, we had instances where people can't come to each other and everything like that, and that's very rough. And it's even painful when it's not your family. You see somebody 30, 40, 50 years old can't come, they're not speaking with their parent.
Mm-hmm.
And because they know their parent is a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And you, like I said, it don't have to be your family. It's like, man, why you don't talk to your mom or your daddy? And if you ain't really going through that, sometimes you be like, man, that don't make no sense. You can, man, let that go.
Mm-hmm.
But you really don't understand the trauma.
Right. The dynamic of why. And a lot of people are not going to sit back and explain it to you either, because it's a lot. It's a lot to go back to. A lot of people get traumatized, and they don't even realize they've been traumatized until later on in life, and then they stop talking to their parent.
Mm-hmm.
Us as children, I'm giving you a good point. What you said about about our grandparents. My grandfather never whooped me,
Mm-hmm.
and from what I hear from you, your grandfather never whooped. We just, and I'm gonna say, we more respected them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I feared my grandfather. I think I just respected him because of the way he came off as the man of the house.
Mm-hmm.
That this was his house, this was his family, and once you come through those doors, the rules of the house is as he say.
Mm-hmm.
There was never an instance where I got whooped by him. There was never an instance where he said anything to make me afraid of him. It was just what it was.
Mm-hmm.
He was a man, and he had manly ways, and as that being his house, you just respected him when you walked through the door.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm thinking that's how your grandfather, because I didn't hear where you say he whooped you or anything. It was just that they were just men, and you knew not to play with them, regardless if they said anything to you. They never emasculated me. He never said anything to make me afraid of him. I just knew that was my granddaddy. He don't play. Don't ask me how.
My grandfather, and I even think about some of my close friends, even their fathers, from that era, they didn't even, correct you. Sometimes you might correct a kid, something, just, hey, man, say sir or something like that to me. You knew damn better to not address
exactly.
him as sir.
Uh-huh.
You knew better than get out of. You wouldn't even think to say, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Because you just knew you might get the hell knocked out of you. And it's just that like you say, that presence.
Right.
You knew you dealing with a man and everything like that. We're in a different dynamic now. I can go to the schools. I see men with their great cornrows. They sagging and bagging. The daddy got the same outfit the son got on. Oh, Lord. You don't know. It's damn twin day.
There's no separation
no.
of father and son.
No. It's buddy and buddy.
Yeah, buddy and buddy.
And that's cool until it gets to the point where your child been raised by his buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And his buddy ain't taught him how to be a man, or his buddy hasn't taught him how to be a woman. Because again, it's going both ways, in terms of even what, both parents, mother and father. I don't want to just put so much emphasis on what the father does, because, you have, some fathers that can be overbearing with a daughter and make daughter resent them, can be so lenient with a daughter, make the daughter just free roam all outside the world, out here in the world, and she hasn't got proper guidance on how to live things. You can have a mother that give her son so much damn freedom, he just does what he want to do, and then when you have something called society and rules, they don't know how to deal with them. Mm-hmm. And then you see what I see a lot of times, especially dealing at the parks. You have some mothers that's by themselves, they overdo it. They emasculate their sons in public. Talk to them like they're 4 years old, go upside the head in front of people,
mm-hmm.
and everything. It's not discipline. You're emasculating them, and you wonder why this boy hit 17, 18. He look at you like he can't stand you, mm-hmm. and everything like that. And again, I wish I could have like a simple solution to do it, but I just want parents to make sure, regardless of how you doing things with your child, make sure you're getting a conscious effort in terms of thinking before you make decisions with your kid on how you're going to discipline or speak to them and everything, because once words have been spoken to the atmosphere and once actions are taken, they can't be taken back. So you got to be very conscious. You got a lot of people that can think quick on their feet. I think I can a lot of times too, but sometimes I have to put my damn foot in my mouth because I've said something that I wish I could take it back. But once it's out there, and you can't do nothing about it. So I really want people to be conscious of that when they're doing it. I know me in particular with my kids, I do a lot of community. I'm very close to my boys, and I ain't finna sit here in front like I'm damn Cliff Huxtable or anything like that. And Cliff Huxtable, that was a showing. You see where the hell he at right now.
Right.
Yeah, you know, so
Well, with my kids, when they were younger, we were closer. They got a little older, but they're doing their own thing. They're in their 20s and 30s now, so they're exploring their lives and doing it. We still talk, but they're exploring their life and doing what they need to do. But when we were younger, yeah, when they were younger, they were closer. But in my case, you know, I was 18, 17, 18, got married at 18, you know, married for 24. So basically, me, my wife, and my kids all came up together.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? So our dynamic was a little different. But since I was raised by my grandparents and my grandfather, I had a different dynamic on how to raise them. I didn't have this instance to myself where I was saying I'm gonna raise them different, because I didn't have a problem with the way I was raised.
Gotcha.
I always felt that now if I was raised by my mother, it would have been a different story. But since I was mostly raised by my grandmother and my grandfather and my great-grandmother, I actually had the pleasure of knowing my great-great-grandmother.
Awesome.
So I knew a lot of elders in my family, so I didn't necessarily have a thing to where I said to myself, well, I'm going to raise my children differently.
Gotcha.
But with us being so young and married and trying to figure this thing that I call life out, going to college, she going to college, I'm going to college, we working, we got kids, we got to do this, we got to do that. There was instances where my children may have gotten over on a few things, or we were too tired to discipline them about something and we just let it slide. So on those instances, we may have been more of a friend than necessarily we should have been. And I don't know if that messed them up now or later or whenever, or if it did anything to them per se. But my children reflect me, like my boys reflect me, and my daughter reflect my ex-wife.
Gotcha.
And the problem with that is my daughter and my ex-wife act exactly the same, and they can't stand each other.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Because their attitudes are the same.
Gotcha.
Their the way that they deal with people, problems, and situations are the same. So my ex-wife don't like her because I'm saying you don't like her because you see the reflection of yourself back at you. And my daughter don't like my ex-wife because they are the same. They are literally the same people. So that dynamic kind of that goes back to them not talking to each other.
Gotcha.
I don't necessarily say that we were friends. You know, I don't think me and my kids were on that friend level. We had a respect-fear factor. We kind of mixed it all in together. Love was love. You know, discipline was discipline. Fear was fear. But we never. I don't think I had more fear than respect.
Gotcha.
I think it was. We had a soup. We had a gumbo of it. We loved, respected, and feared. You get what I'm saying? I try to keep an even balance because you don't want to put too much fear on them, and then they don't talk to you, but you don't want to give them too much love, and then they run over you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, that's and that's amazing. I go back, like I was saying, just how, you know, everyone's household is unique. I can speak in terms of myself. I have 4 boys from 24, 16, 13, and 8. And my oldest son is probably one of my best friends in the world. Very, very close to my oldest son. But a lot of times I know he looks at me crazy when I talk to my baby boy, like, oh, y'all got it good, this, that, and that. Because I was plumb damn fool with him when I was younger.
Right.
But like I explained to him, you don't understand. It's not that I'm more lenient with them. I'm smarter with them. You know, your first child, damn near like your first car. You're going to make all your mess ups and all that and every damn thing, you know, because, you know, you don't get a manual with them. Right. So you're learning as you go and everything. That's why I'm, you know, I don't try to beat parents up too much on mistakes because, again, especially with black fathers, we don't have a real big fraternity of involved black fathers. So a lot of times you don't have a lot of people you can confide in that's really, you know, doing the same things and stuff. And I just remember when I was so much younger, so much stuff I did just off damn emotion and just irrational. Like I tell myself, son, I'm just more school now. And he sees that and everything. And with my younger boys, is more communicating. And to that point, like I said, we do a lot of talking. And I don't necessarily want them to feel me, but I really want them to feel my authority. Love your dad, but everything like that. But understand, if I said I want this done when I get home, you know, it's going to be hell to pay.
Right.
You know, The baby a little different, you might whoop him, but the older boys, shit, y'all don't want to do it. Take away stuff. We might have to go. I'm former military. We might got to do some damn push-ups all night long. But
so you get tired of you sitting on the couch.
That PTSD kick in and shit. Sarge, on hey, shit. So they just got to deal with it then. But again, just respect their authority. Respect me, respect your mother, and I think a lot of times, they are very protective of their mother, and I think we've raised them in a house where we've really pushed that respect each other, because that's one of my golden rules. Respect everybody in your family. Yeah. Don't front on each other. I ain't gonna front on you. We don't front on each other. Now we get that call, man, what the hell did you do? Now if you do something absolutely wrong, check it. Same thing, especially what they do with siblings and as a family. You see your brother wrong, hey, we don't front. Check his ass. Right. And everything like that. But respect goes so much further as a unit when everyone, in as far as loving each other, interacting with each other and stuff, because you're not always going to like what daddy say. But at the end of the day, you got to trust me, I got your best interest. Same thing when your mama tell you to do something, you may not like it, and everything, but she got a better interest. That don't mean I ain't going to make a mistake. And that's the other thing with parents. You and your significant other, that's two old separate brains. And but you still got one common goal, that's to raise great kids. So one of y'all going to say something that the other don't agree with, I would highly recommend taking care of that behind closed doors. And if y'all want to make an adjustment, come back later with that adjustment. And I've been guilty of that sometimes. I didn't say nothing, and my wife look at me like, you said something, went against this, that, and that. I feel bad, but I can't take it back. I might go to the boys later. Hey, man, look, man, I talked to your mama, this, that, and that, man. I booger that up. I can apologize to her, but not how far that shit goes. But that's one thing you have to keep in mind, just having a united front, and also having a united front as a family. One thing I would suggest to parents is, push your kids and teach them how to make decisions. And what I mean by that is give your child enough autonomy to make decisions, make mistakes, and also learn from them. Okay? Because a lot of times when a time where people so stuck on, my child, they got to do what they do. I got to keep them busy, and they ain't got time to mess up. And we doing so much stuff, I ain't got them in the streets, and I ain't got to do that and everything. But keep in mind, your child does not live in a damn bubble. And one day your child is going to get out there and spread their wings, and they got something out here called the world, and they got something out here called life.
And they going to be in it.
Yes, sir. And them wolves are waiting on your child. So you have to be kind of spur some kind of environment where that child can make some decisions. I ain't say give them a ton of freedom, but make it where they're in a position they can make some decisions and everything. And with them decisions, make a mistake. Make those mistakes and, recoverable mistakes, okay? And then learn from it. That's one of the things, I have rules in my house sometimes that are black and white. We have sometimes son suggest certain things. Try it out. Now, understand if that don't work, you understand the consequences. Not that you're going to be in trouble by me, but you might have to do something over. And so you want to have them, number one, think about those things. And then whatever went good or whatever went bad, sit back and reflect on it so they can know going forward. And that's the only way that any person is going to grow. Because, we all go through, stores, your kid go off to college, Well, let's go before that. Get to high school. You hear him in the break room, that damn fool smoking damn weed. I told him not to smoke no damn weed, and all that kind of stuff and all that kind of let's be realistic. Your child sees you in the morning, depending on how you schedule it. If they see you, they might be asleep when you left. And then if they do anything extracurricular, you might see them from, we had like 5. They go to bed at 8, 9, 10. Then or depending if it's late in that, might see them just 3 or 4 hours a day. Or y'all might have some kind of interaction. Mm-hmm. They with their damn friends at school 6 or 7 hours. So who the hell you think gonna be more impressionable, or they doing more interactions with? Right. So that's why it's so important to have some kind of foundation where you're not so much pressing on think this way, think that way, because hell, they see this other kid functioning. And they see this other kid happy, doing something totally damn opposite of what you done pushed in your house. And they're like, well, shit, hell, he smoking, he drinking, shit, he going to school every damn day. And my mama talking about you can't go to school, you can't remember nothing because you doing that. He seemed fine. And all the reasons why you might have pushed the correct reasons of how to think about that. And now they out there making these wrong ass decisions because they weren't taught to think. They were just told what to do.
Told what to do.
You know, and that's very, very rough. You know, You want to add something like that?
No, I was just saying they were just told what to do, meaning you got to let your kids have either learn it or have common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Common sense will get you out of a lot of things because there's always this thing in the back of your mind that's telling you not to do it.
Yeah.
But if your mom is just constantly, your dad's constantly just pressing on you, the first thing a child going to do, when you tell them not to do something, they going to want to know why.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why that must be fun. They telling me not to do it because it must be fun. Because they, us as parents, we don't have fun. Everything we tell them not to do is fun. So we telling them not to do it because it must be fun. So let me try that out because it must be fun. It has to be fun. They telling me not to do it, stay away from it, don't smoke it. And this guy over here having a ball. So I'm going to try out what they telling me not to try out, and then they going to keep it away from you. Then they going to get something that's laced with something. Then next thing you know, we got bad times.
Some of that stuff you can't recover from.
Yeah.
You know, Lab, I think a lot of times as adults, and I ain't gonna say as parents, you can be in a position of a parent, you can be in a position of a coach, a position of a teacher, some kind of authoritative figure. People forget, especially with younger people, they look at what you do more so than what you say. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we do things subconsciously that's against the grain of what we preach to our kids. Mm-hmm. And we say a lot of time, well, do as I say, not what I do. And that shit sound good, but keep in mind, again, we're dealing with a human brain that's processing, that's developing. And once you've been putting that kind of stuff in their head, just, I know what the hell I do. That don't mean your ass can do it. Again, they see you functioning. Mm-hmm. They see you living. And they doing what? Shit. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, they talking about, he doing it.
Yeah.
And we have to be very conscious of that. And we have to understand how impressionable we are on our kids, good and bad. We so stuck on that.
We don't give our kids credit enough to to know that they are intelligent.
Exactly.
Children are intelligent. Children nowadays are real intelligent. I swear these children come out the womb knowing how to work an iPad. Know how to work your phone. They 1 and 2 years old, changing your phone and flipping through your screen. So we have to realize that our children are intelligent. They take in things. They may not say anything because you are their parent, mm-hmm. but they take in things. They analyze them, and then they go by what they see, and they determine if that's something that they want to do.
Absolutely. We
have to give our kids more credit to understand that they are intelligent. We have to realize that they are intelligent beings too. Like you say, they have their mind of their own. Mm-hmm. They're growing. Their mind is growing every day. They learn something new every day. They see something different. So we have to give them credit to know that they are intelligent beings, and that sometimes they're gonna figure out something. If you tell them not to do it and you doing it, they're gonna be like, "Well, that's an oxymoron." Yeah, why are you telling me not to do something that you do every day?
Absolutely.
And you lead by example.
Brother, there are things that I go through with my 8-year-old that I never would have thought I had to. There are things that lies that I could give the older three, that 8-year-old, he sees all the way through it. He's crazy as hell. He told his teacher the other day, she was talking to him, and she was like, William, you need to, just do your work, because, one day you're going to want to get a job, and nobody's going to hire you, for their company, or anything. So you need to make sure you're doing your work, do that. And William said, I don't need to get a job. I'm going to work for myself like my daddy.
Ooh.
And and so you sit there and like, one party like, son, better than talk back to a damn adult.
Right.
But it's the whole point of he's processing. I haven't put anything in my son's head to, hey, this. I push entrepreneurship in my kids, but I always push being happy. Mm-hmm. You can be at your job 30 years. You see yourself getting up every morning, your own mind getting up. Hell, that's what you want.
Some people love it.
Exactly. Ain't nothing wrong with that. if you got your own thing going and stuff like that, I can speak from personal experience. I work 20 damn hours a day for myself, and I love it. And that ain't for everybody. You know, people say, okay, well, you know, you do your own thing for yourself. You're going to work the shit out yourself. You working for yourself. You know, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. But it's something in you that love it. And the end game is to find something that you love doing. If you're doing it, got your career, or you're doing it for yourself, that's the end game. But to that point, I've never put that. That kid just came on himself to do that. And one thing I want to tell parents, most importantly, you know, you know, with our discussion today, one of the most important gifts that I think any parent can get a child is the ability to think. And it's kind of like what we went to our show last week about deductive reasoning and everything. Give your child the ability to think. Especially in the black community, we do too much group think. And what I mean by that is everybody, this is the way we go, and, you know, you need to do this, the economy wild, and the world is, all that, blah, 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 blah. You really need to make sure that you're teaching your child to think, question things, process things. You know, when people tell them that, hey, that people aren't hiring right now because, you know, they just aren't hiring. Well, why they ain't hiring? What's going on? Did another plant move down the street, this, that, and that? Figure out stuff. When they try to make decisions and stuff, and they see a home, you know, not necessarily looking at what's the prettiest, you know, what can they afford, how would that affect them 2 or 3 years from now? Just being able to look at things, gather information, process that information, and then make a very intelligent decision. Again, look at things, gather that information, process all that information, pros, cons, whatever, and then from that point make an intelligent decision. I would say, hell, I'm thinking probably 70-80% of the adults walk around don't do that. They don't sit here and make rational decisions because they really don't know how to gather information and really go through the pros and cons. We do a lot of emotional decision making, a lot of irrational decision making. A lot of times, you know, we're gonna pray on it. You know, we're gonna hope for the best. You let it work out, and God gave you a brain. You know,
you gotta think about stuff every day.
Absolutely.
I think about this podcast and radio stuff every day. I analyze it. I research it. I see how it can be done better. I see how it's just everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
I think about my job. I said, well, I need to be able to do the podcast enough to where I don't have to get up and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
But those are things I process. I analyze it. I go to pros and cons of it. No, I can't quit the job right now because I need the insurance.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You gotta process them things. You gotta say to yourself, well, I'm gonna do this for the insurance, but I'm gonna do this, and eventually the insurance will be paid through that.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't do that. People don't. I'm gonna give you a good example. And I'm full of examples.
Cool.
A good example is when a guy says to himself, he's a street hustler. That money quick. That
Mm-hmm.
money quick is fast. You spending it as fast as you get it. You getting it, you spend it, you get it right back.
Mm-hmm.
But then he says to himself, I need to get a job now because I'm too old to be street hustling. Then he get the job, and that money just ain't as quick. It's slow grind. But he didn't sit down and process it and say to himself, okay, I know I need to get a job, and I know that money going to be slow. Maybe I hustle for a little bit longer and save some money.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So that way when the slow money come in, I can even it all out.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that. We get it. They get it so fast and they spend it so fast trying to live that lavish lifestyle. They don't think about the future.
Mm-hmm.
We was talking one time, and I think we was talking on the phone. They don't think about the fact that they street hustling. They may need to go to get a lawyer. Mm-hmm. They may need to be buried. What we talking about insurance that time?
Absolutely.
They may need. You don't process it. You don't analyze it. You don't set it up for the future. You spend it as fast as you get it. You don't think about tomorrow because all you're doing is think about how much you got today.
Mm-hmm.
And no adult does that. So you have to analyze everything that you do.
Absolutely.
Everything.
You know, again, this is Changing Lives, hosted by Deonte Burden. I've been blessed with my producer, DJ Lab, doing the show with me today. You get a chance, like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Changing Lives. One thing, Lab, you know, if people really instill in their children and instill in themselves to think, to just think, before they make decisions. You imagine how less of shit bad stuff be happening out here today. Just think.
Yeah.
When that dude call you a punk MF, and you want to say something back to him, man, I gotta go to work, man. I ain't got time to deal with this damn fool. The police officer pull you over, and he say, "Can I get your license?" or ask you, "Hey, this, that, and that," and you want to sit here and say, "I don't have to give you my ID. What do you want my ID for?" As opposed to just give me your damn license and all the other BS can come along with.
You clean.
Just think. If so many people just think before they make an action, oh my God, has so much less stuff going on. Again, this is a Changing Lives hosted by Deonte Burden. That was a awesome discussion we've had in terms of parents asking that question. Parents, do you want your kids to fear you or respect you? And I think we gave a lot of information out, and also some of the things you can do being proactive to help your kids along in the future. We're kind of wrapping up the show. I want to go, my conclusion part on this. I wanted to speak on something that probably been in the news a lot lately, and I've seen this, especially with being a youth coach. There was an incident where a young man, I won't go all into the details. Anyway, he was charged. He was did a plea deal, and he was given 10 years in prison. I think his other options went to trial, had some life sentences. He had a whole lot of egregious crimes that he had done, from attempted murder charges, armed robbery. I know in one instance a pregnant female was assaulted, and also a pizza delivery man was assaulted. And the uproar in terms of the plea is coming out because the young man was 13 years old. And through social media and even with the news media, you've seen a rainbow of responses in terms of he's so young, why you give him that, why was he charged as an adult. You got some people, that what his ass get or whatever, you do the crime, do your time, all on both sides. And one thing I want to say about this too, I look at it in terms of, from me personally with the young man. Again, he's speaking to somebody that's been dealing with everybody else's kids for over 17 years. I have what I call youth crimes and stupid crimes. Stealing, breaking in somebody's house, doing something stupid. I have a kind of different perspective when it's against a person, rape, murder, a robbery, something that went in another person. I have different views on that because I feel like there's something more in you. I don't want a child to, or anybody or any family to go through that, but I understand when you have instances like that, not only it affects the child, affects the child's family, but most importantly, those victims and those families, the trauma that they got to go through. So no one wins on that. But I just going back into it, and I try to look from a preventative standpoint. And you hear the people say the parents could have did this, or you could have did this, that, and everything. I'm not so even sure the parents could have did anything differently. Because again, go back to your child got a brain. It doesn't mean it was a lapse with parenting, because a parent can have 5 kids and that one made a crazy decision. You don't want to have that being the marking of their parenting. You have all these people that look at what's too harsh and what's not too young, because I can say personally, if that was my sister or my wife that was robbed and I seen it, I might would have killed them, or anybody. You hear all the time when some of the same people that say you shouldn't have been sentenced to that, they may say that, if I catch somebody breaking in my house, I'm going to kill them. But on the flip side of it is that kid get arrested, want to do that. It's nobody wins in this. Nobody wins. And but I will say this. This goes back again. Parents, coaches, mentors, everybody involved, let's make a conscious effort to make sure that we talking to these kids about decision making and consequences. Because I think one of the biggest nightmares, even going on what I was talking about, your kids listening to their friends over you, is that as a parent, you're in a situation where your child done got into some trouble and you can't help them. Just like if your kid gets sick. That's in a parent's nightmare. that child and got into some stuff, and they know they messed up, they messed up, and you can't do nothing for your child. And I know no parent in the world want to have to deal with that. Again, some stuff we can't control and everything, so we need to make sure that that we're on that track where we're teaching these kids, listen, think, because I hear the people saying, well, what were they doing out? What were they doing? Your children are not in a bubble. They are not in a bubble. They are not going to stay in a cage and everything. You can have them involved in ballet, football, all kind of stuff all day long. The world going to get to them. And you want them to be thinking before they hit 18 and now they got to go to college. And, they go to the party and they ain't been nowhere their whole life, and somebody offer them some drugs, or they got some deviant sexual stuff or some crazy stuff they ain't never seen. What is this? And now they ain't never been in a point where they got to make decisions. Hell, they can go with somebody that's robbing and don't necessarily understand the magnitude. And I'm pretty sure that's what it was with that young man. He thinking they stealing. He know they might be stealing, but he ain't understanding that. And I know that young man didn't understand all that time when they gave it to him. I know he don't. So please, parents, and I'm not saying that was the case with that young man, but I know it's not happening enough that we really talk to our kids about consequences. And when you put yourself in a position where other people have to make a decision about your destiny, because when other people got to make a decision of your destiny, you have no control whatsoever. When other people got to make a decision about your child's destiny, you have no control whatsoever. And that is probably the most weakest, I can't think of the word, where you just can't, you can't do anything.
Helpless.
Helpless. There you go. APS grade, what can I say? Boy, I tell you, boy. That's the most helpless that you can ever be. I appreciate that, Lab.
No word.
So parents, please think about that in terms of just talking to your kids and have them be conscious about decision makings and looking to understand what the ramifications of their decisions can bring out in their life. Again, this is Deonte Burden with Changing Lives. Make sure you go to the channel, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate everybody that chimed in on the show today. We had a real great show. Also, look at all the other videos we got going on. Feel free to comment to them. I try to stay on top of everything for the comments to the shows and answer all your questions and everything. And we appreciate the support. Again, that's Changing Lives. Please subscribe, like, share, subscribe to the station and everything. Also, again, we're nearing on tax season. Y'all know what I do. My company, Majestic Business Services, we wind up getting ready for tax season. If you got some of you small business owners out there, you need to get some year-end payroll, bookkeeping, and everything taken care of, and even you're looking to start a business for 2019, on demand you call. You can book an appointment, give us a call. We do straight consulting. We do all the analysis for any small businesses. You can reach us view us on the web at www.majesticbiz.com. That's majesticbiz.com. The office number is 678-479-4007. Again, that's 678-479-4007. Majestic Business Services. We service all your individual and small business needs. So please look us up right now, because again, we know all your end of the year bookkeeping, payroll, tax prep, business planning. We got everything for you. We do consulting, contract drafting, one-stop shop for small businesses. Okay, again, that phone number is 678-479-4007. 678-479-4007. And the website is majesticbiz.com. That's majesticbiz.com. Guys, we've had a blast today. Again, this is Changing Lives with Deonte Burden. Please, again, like, share, subscribe to the station. Share the videos and everything. You know anybody that's interested, hey, feel free to make the comments. Inbox me any questions you may have. You got some things you might want to have a show on, just let me know. I look forward to hearing the reviews and everything. Thanks a lot. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.
Let me throw one more thing in there. I'm sorry, y'all. No. Also, catch Deonte's show on Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartMusic, iTunes Podcast, SoundCloud, Mixcloud. and anywhere you get your podcast services.
My man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But make sure you check us out again. You take care of everybody, and I'll see you on Thursday.